Hi, my name is Caitlin LaForte, and I'm going to be going over my lesson plan and the different activity that I was going to do and how it went and just some of the materials and vocabulary used in the lesson. So to start, my lesson is for preschool. I'm going to be using my son, which he is 4, and some little background on him. He has not been in a school setting since the summer started or any sort of setting with other children very much besides church events. Like I said, he's 4. He's a new 4. He turned 4 in April. To just kind of get you some background about who I'm going to be teaching. And it's going to be in our home. So the goal for the lesson is use scientific inquiry to address the mathematical concepts about the attributes of different objects in a group. So what I'm going to do is have him gather up 5 different toys of his or his sister's and tell him that we're going to be comparing the objects to see which one's the heaviest. So after he gathers up all the objects, which he has done, we're going to use this worksheet or activity sheet that says toy versus toy, which is the heaviest? And I have them numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to be using the pictures of the objects that he chose, which was a fidget spinner, his hermit crab, a monster truck, a ball, and a controller for one of his remote control cars. I wanted to let him pick out the objects to kind of make him more interested. Like I said, he hasn't been in a school setting all summer, so I was wanting to try my best to keep his interest in the lesson and also to make it as developmentally appropriate as possible and make it interesting for him. So the vocabulary for this lesson, we'll start with the standard. The mathematical standard is compare the attributes of 2 or more concrete objects and use words to define attributes of the objects, such as heavier, lighter, longer, shorter, etc. We're going to be using the words heavier and lighter. The science standard is describe and categorize objects based on their observable properties. So we're going to be using all of these properties, all of these objects, to be comparing them with the weights that I showed you earlier. So we're going to use that. So vocabulary for the lesson is going to be weight, heavy, heaviest, light, lightest. Some materials that I'm going to use are a robe, 2 buckets, a hanger, and a strings. That's what I used to make the scale. Also 5 items of child's choice, the activity sheet, and I chose to use robes for science coats to try to help keep his interest, and he likes to play pretend play, which is developmentally appropriate for their age. To begin, I'm going to have him pick out the 5 objects, and then after that you would take the 5 objects to make your sheet, your comparative sheet with the different objects on it. You kind of need space in between there to load the pictures onto your computer and then print them off onto the worksheet so they can have them. I'll then begin the lesson by re-explaining to him what we're going to be doing, what the activity is going to be about, try to get him excited by showing him the robes and making him a scientist. Then we're going to take the objects and I'm going to let him place them in the buckets and try to compare them and I'll explain to him that when one bucket is lower and one bucket is higher, that means that this object is heavier, to kind of help him grasp the concept of the scale. The question that we're going to be focusing on, which was on the sheet, is which is the heaviest. So we're going to be focusing on that. Then as he places different objects in the buckets, we will use that information to guide us in our activity sheet. When we find the heaviest one, we will, either I or he will, depending on how the activity is going, we'll cut out the picture, then glue it with glue to next to somewhere near the number 1 spot, or just in order. So then we will do that until we get down to the lightest or the least heavy. Then after that, I will take the sheet that we did, his finished product, where he's glued the different objects on there, and we will discuss them, and we will ask the question, why? or I will ask it, why? Why do you think that that one was heavier? Or why do you think that that one was lighter? Look at it, hold it. What makes you think that that one makes it heavier? So we're going to try to do all that and see how it goes. I will conclude by talking about that, by observing the different properties of the materials, and then I will use the activity sheet as my form of assessment, as well as my observations of his understanding throughout the lesson, because it is a one-on-one small group kind of a lesson. I can observe more and kind of see more what is he understanding and what is he missing. To simplify this lesson, instead of having 5 objects and comparing all 5, you could decrease the number of objects. You could instead of putting them in order, you could just have all of the pictures, and you could just have them maybe circle which one they think is the best, or not the best, but the heaviest. Instead of doing heaviest to lightest in order, you could just focus on the heaviest. You could go through all of the objects, see which one's the heaviest, stop at that. You could use verbal prompts to try to help the children that struggle with language. For those that struggle with fine motor skills, with the cutting and the gluing, you could assist them by pre-cutting out the pictures, or you could assist them in cutting out the pictures. You could, like I said, decrease the number of objects. You could focus only on which is the heaviest, not putting them in order from heaviest to lightest. Which is the heaviest, and then end the lesson and do your conclusion. You could, like I said, cut out the pictures for them and help them glue. To extend on the lesson, you could possibly add more objects. You could have them make predictions. You could have them glue from heaviest to lightest, which they think they are going to be. So glue each picture in the order that they think they will be the heaviest to lightest. And then on the other side, for example, how I have this side, they could glue the pictures from what they think there is, and then their observations over here. So when they find the heaviest one, put it there, and then in order, and then you could have them compare the two to see what they think about that. And then let's see. And then, so that's pretty much how my lesson's going to go, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so today, guess what we're going to do?
Okay, we're going to scribe, okay?
Okay, guess what we're going to do?
What?
We're going to be scientists. Do you want to be a scientist?
Yeah.
Yeah? We're going to use these and the toys that you picked out to weigh them to see which wins. And we're going to do toy versus toy. So do you want to put on your lab coat? Your scientist coat?
Yeah.
Here's my scientist coat. Here's your scientist coat. You ready?
Yes. Can I take my clothes off?
No. Here, stand up. Right here. Scientist coat. Scientist coat. All right. Oh, that looks good.
No.
Okay, sit down.
What about this?
Oh yeah, we'll tie your scientist coat. You ready? Ooh, you look like an evil genius.
Okay,
I need my scientist coat.
Some scribe because I'm Superman.
Okay, pay attention. You ready?
So that's way cool.
Look. All right. So what we're gonna do is we've got all your toys. Marlon, look at Mama.
Sorry, we just got stuff for sale, okay?
Marlon. So we have all your different things. We have the remote control you picked out, the ball you picked out, the monster truck you picked out, the fidget spinner you picked out, and your friend, our lovely hermit crab. Which one of these toys do you think is going to weigh the most?
This one.
The remote control?
Yeah.
You think it's going to be the heaviest?
Yep.
You can pick them up and feel them and see which one you think is going to be the heaviest.
This one.
You're sticking with the remote control?
Yep.
Okay, you want to weigh them and see?
Yep.
Okay. Which two do you want to put in first? These two? Okay, put them in the bucket.
Which one?
Put either one in whichever bucket. It'll be easy. You got to put one in one bucket and one in the other.
Actually,
Okay, the bucket that goes down the most is the heaviest. So which one's the heaviest? That one? Remember, heaviest means it weighs the most, and lightest means it weighs the littlest. So you think the remote control?
yeah.
Good
because
job.
Look, it go down.
It did go down. All right, can you take the ball out?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if, since you think this one's going to be the heaviest, let's leave it in there. Let's see if this is heavier than that. What do you think?
Both of them.
Do you think one's heavier? Which one do you think is heavier? That one? I think so too. Take your monster truck out.
Okay.
Do you want to try your hermit crab?
Yeah.
Be easy with him. Be very gentle. Don't drop him hard, just very easily. Okay, who's heavier?
The remote control.
The remote control. All right, take your hermit crab out.
Okay.
And can I have your hermit crab very gently?
Sure.
Thank you.
And
Let's
subscribe
do-
to the video. Ta-da!
Pay attention, look. What about your fidget spinner? You think your fidget spinner will be heavier?
Come on.
Let's see. Whoa, what's still the heaviest? So you were right. High five. Okay. Why do you think that this was heavier than all of these?
Because this one is little and this one's little and that one's little and that one's little and that one's a little bit bigger. And
So
this
you-
one's big.
So you thought this one's maybe the heaviest because it's the biggest?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let's see. I got you a little paper over here. Let's show our, can you come over here please and sit down so we can do our paper? Guess what you get to do?
What?
You get to cut and glue. Let's watch out for our friend the hermit crab, okay? You okay?
Look,
Your friend.
oh.
Let's put him in here so we don't lose him.
No,
All right, so we got our,
that one's not the heaviest. That one's the heaviest.
I think, remember this one was the heaviest? Okay, so we're going to do our little paper here. You ready? This says,
What? We did.
which toy is the heaviest? Toy versus toy. so-
This one.
So we decided that one was the heaviest? The remote control?
Yep.
Okay, so we got our pictures here of the fidget spinner, the remote control, the hermit crab, the monster truck, and the ball. Do you want to cut them out or do you want me to cut them out?
I want to cut them out.
Okay. You hold them, cut very carefully.
Okay.
Remember, use one hand.
How about the remote control?
You can cut out the remote control. Can you cut around it so we can still see it? Try not to cut through it, okay? That's good. Let's cut up here. Let's cut right there, that way.
And the remote control using red.
Okay, can you cut that way? Can you cut that way? All right, so since we decided the remote control was the biggest, or the heaviest, let's glue him here. Can you put a dot of glue right here on your paper? And we'll glue him next to the very top spot, the number 1.
Oh, can I open this?
It's open. You don't have to open the bottom. Until to the
No,
top.
I don't want to.
You don't want a big glob, it won't stick. Can you put a little dot right here? Right there? Can you push it down right there? Good job. That's good. Next we're going to do, so we know this one's the heaviest. Now, which one the bucket almost went down as far? Do you remember?
The hermit crab.
You think the hermit crab is the next heaviest?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. Do you want to test another toy? This one's out of the way because we know he's front. What about, do you want to test another one? Which one of these 3 would you like to test? The monster truck? Okay, you want to put him in there? Be easy on your hermit crab. So what's heavier, the monster truck or the hermit crab?
I'm the hermit crab.
But the hermit crab's bucket is higher. What does that mean?
No, I don't need him.
Which one do you think is the heaviest?
This one.
But it's higher.
No,
What does higher mean?
I just don't want to.
You don't want it to be heavier.
No.
You want the hermit crab to be heavier? Let's see if the hermit crab is heavier than maybe the ball. The ball's pretty light. Who's heavier?
The hermit crab.
The hermit crab. All right. Well, do you want to take the hermit crab out and see if the hermit... oh, be easy on your hermit crab. Do you want to take your hermit crab... Do you want to put your ball in to see which heavier, the ball or the fidget spinner? Which is heavier? The fidget spinner? All right. So do you think your ball weighs the least? It's
No.
the smallest?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Let's cut out the picture of your ball. You want to?
Mhm.
There you go.
Okay.
Cut down that line. All right. Can you cut it this way?
So. Then the ball wins.
The ball is the least heavy. It's the lightest. It's light like Sissy.
Okay. No. Okay. No. No, go.
Do you want to glue it right here?
No thanks.
Here's.
No thanks.
All right. Last one. So we have.
No.
Could you come here for just a second,
No thanks.
please?
No.
Please.
No. No. No.
I just gotta ask you one more question.
What?
Can you come here and I'll ask you one more question?
What?
All right. So, of our toys, the question was, which is the heaviest, and which did you decide was the heaviest? The remote control?
Yeah.
So, this one?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Can you shut the door? Thank you. So, that was the experiment on which is the heaviest, trying to use scientific inquiry. And before we started the video, I let him pick out 5 objects of his choice that we were going to weigh to question which of his toys were the heaviest. So we have the monster truck, his hermit crab, which he just got, which he's very interested in, the remote control to one of his race cars, his fidget spinner, and his ball. So we use these items to try to keep his concentration. He's not been in school all summer, so he's been hanging out at home and doing kind of his own thing. And we have some people coming over to our house right now, so he's losing a little bit of attention. So I'm going to say that it's developmentally appropriate to let him go at this point. I don't think I can keep his attention any longer. So the main question was, which toy is the heaviest? And we decided based on the weights, and he says based on the size, that the remote control is the heaviest, and the ball is the least heaviest. There's a couple different variations that we could have done with this, which toy is the lightest, which toy, put them in order from heaviest to least heavy. But I think for his environment that he's in right now, and just developmentally appropriate for this lesson and where we're at right now, that I think we're going to stop it there. Thank you. Okay, so we finished our activity, and I'm just going to close out by talking about some things that I think went well in the activity and some things that I think went not so well and could be improved on. So to conclude, here is his finished product, cut and glued personally by him, with the remote control at the top and the ball at the bottom. Some things that I think went well in the activity was that I thought he was pretty interested in the objects and the hands-on portion of the activity. I think that he liked using the scales and seeing which one's the heaviest, and I know him personally that he likes his ideas to be right, so he predicted that the remote control was the heaviest, which it turned out to be. So I know that he really enjoyed that, and I think he just liked the hands-on portion of the activity, and like I said, using the material. So I think it was successful to let him pick out the different materials, and I think that made him more interested. some things that I think went not so great. He lost interest. We had, during the activity, there was a couple distractions. We had a couple people come in and into our house, which was a little bit distracting for him, of course, and he could hear them. So the environment wasn't what I would have liked it to be. And then I also he based on that, he got really disinterested towards the end of it. I think I would have simplified it for him. I should have taken more into account that he hasn't been in a learning setting in a school environment all summer. And I think I could have just focused more on which is the heaviest and kind of stopped at that and then analyzed it. That way I didn't have to conclude the lesson so much. Overall, I still like the activity. I would like to use it again with some modifications, and I think it would work well in a small group setting or in a large group setting. So overall, I think it went well, and I think he enjoyed it. Thank you.